Okay, so good afternoon. So my name is Laurence. I'm the Director for AI Innovation in AI Singapore. The next 10 minutes or so, I'll share with you how, actually just a good follow-up to the last panel, how we have achieved win-win-win for Singapore, for companies, and for individuals here through our programs. So AI Singapore, we are Singapore's national R&D program for AI, and we've been around for 8 years. We have many mission statements, but the one that I'm responsible for is the industry. How do we drive the industry to accelerate the adoption of AI? When I started AI Singapore 8 years ago, the only KPI was to do 100 AI projects. The program name is called the 100 Experiments, or 100E. And in the 100E, we were to work with a company, an industry partner, understand what their problem statement is, and then find researchers or engineers to actually then collaborate and help build the solution. So we will co-fund half of the cost, the partner will come in with half of the cost, and we'll build the solution in 18 to 24 months. That was the original 100E design, but it didn't really work. Even in 2017, 2018, AI was already very hot in that sense. And companies could not wait 18 to 24 months for a professor or researcher to actually get the solution done. They wanted things to go much faster. And with that feedback, I went back to my management and said, we need to be able to deliver solutions to the industry in 3 to 6 months. They agreed, so we redesigned the program, and today our 100E can deliver solutions to the industry in 3 to 6 months. But in doing so, I face a big challenge. Where do we find the engineers? Because no professor or researcher can do that quick 3 to 6 months prototype of a solution. I needed real-world engineers. And for the entrepreneurs here who are trying to build your AI team, you know how hard it is to find AI engineers in Singapore. For me, when I put out my first hiring recruitment drive, I had 300 resumes, not too bad, but only 10 were from Singapore. And I told my team, well, we can't be called AI Singapore if only 10% of my engineers are Singaporeans and rest 90% are foreigners. We need the ratio to be the other way around. So we, on a hunch, we created a program called the AI Apprenticeship Program, which was to ignore whatever the person studied in school. It's not important. Just test the person for his skills in AI. Whether this person can code in Python, whether this person has basic AI ML skills. If he has or she has, bring him or her into the apprenticeship program, provide more training, and then put the person onto the 3 or 6 months project. So that was the hunch that we had, and it turned out tremendously well. Today, the 100 Experiments together with the apprenticeship program is highly sought after, not just by the industry, but by countries and other governments. In fact, just this morning, I had to entertain another delegation. So we meet a lot of governments coming to understand exactly how we are doing this. So the apprentice, when we select them, there's a technical test. We test them whether they can analyze data, write out that Python code, and so on. We do not test them on computing science or computer science skills. We do not test whether they can write an algorithm to go 10 times faster. Because in the real world, that's not what the company wants solved. The company wants, can you solve this business problem? Our apprentice, we have 4 cohorts a year today, and we have 200 to 400 applicants. It's a full-time program. They have to apply. But less than 10% get selected. And of these 10% who get in, 20% have a computer science background. Another 20, 25% actually have a science background, physics, chemistry, biology. 30% are engineers, mechanical, electrical, chemical, process engineers. And the other 20%, accountants, lawyers. I have doctors, I had nurses. I mentioned lawyers and doctors, and accountants. So they come from all walks of life. And the fact is that because they come from all different domains, we are able to solve real-world business problems much, much faster because we understand the problem statement. Let me share one example with you. So we were meeting one of the big four accounting companies a couple of months ago. And I guess, unfortunately, my sales manager went with an engineer, an AI engineer, and they had a discussion to try to scope out the problem statement. And after 2 meetings, they still couldn't get the 2 meetings, each meeting an hour and a half, couldn't get the problem statement scoped out properly. So she came to me a little bit frustrated and said, hey, Laurence, can I ask Ivan instead to join? Ivan is not part of the pre-sales team. But I said, can I ask Ivan to come into the meeting? Just once. Within 30 minutes, we had the scope of work done. Why? Because Ivan, who is an AI engineer with us, was an ex-accountant and auditor. He understood exactly what the problem one of those big fours was trying to solve, what they were saying. He spoke their lingo. So having that domain expertise is super important if you want your projects to be successful. If you put a bunch of computer scientists together to try to solve a business problem, good luck to you. You need a good mix of people from different backgrounds, domain knowledge, to be able to solve a business problem. So that's how we design our 100E and our apprenticeship program. For each of the projects that we get approved, and we fund like 150K of in-kind, you have to put in 150K in cash and in-kind, 30% cash. We will assemble a team that will work on your problem statement for 3 to 6 months. And this team will include 1 engineer, 3 to 6 apprentices that will be working on a project full-time. They don't do anything else. They only do your project. They don't do any teaching assistant duties. They do not publish papers. They do not do other projects. They only do one project, which is your project, full-time, Mondays to Fridays, 9 to 5, for the whole 3 months or 6 months, depending on which program you choose. So that's how the 100E and the apprenticeship program have been done. So over the last 8 years, my team, we have deployed more than 300 AI projects to the industry. 300 real-world projects. I'm not talking about Jupyter notebooks that you cannot run in production. I'm talking about projects that you can actually deploy into production. I had one major European company told me when we had the final sign-off on a Friday. He said, Laurence, I'm going to production on a Monday. That's the type of quality of code that we deliver to our project sponsors. Okay? And who are some of the interesting characters that have come through our apprenticeship program? Some of you may have been around when our Prime Minister shared during our National Day rally. He showed this dental chart, Q&M, a very big dental chain in Singapore that uses AI to detect all the issues with the teeth. That was a project done by us in 7 months, 1 engineer, 3 apprentices. You'll never guess the engineer what was his background. He joined us as an apprentice in 2018. He performed well enough, we hired him. And by the way, I started with 3 engineers in 2017. Today, I have 50 to 60 engineers, or most of them, in fact, nearly all of them now, came through the apprenticeship program. And overall, we have trained more than 500 engineers for Singapore over the last 8 years. The engineer that led that computer vision dental charting project was a former HR manager from A-Star. He studied psychology. But as a HR manager, you have to analyze a lot of data, so he got interested in programming, analyzing data. And after he finished his apprenticeship, we hired him as an engineer, and later on he led that project. And after about 2.5 years, he left. Today, he is in his final year of finishing up his PhD in AI, in reinforcement learning. So don't discount that a HR manager who studied psychology cannot do real-world AI. Thank you.